cover in this video is audience testing, or finding the right audience for your clothing brand. Now, the audience will typically, as a mindset, will typically depend on your brand. So what you want to do on ads is find the audience that is closest to the persona of your brand. So I'm going to dive into the ad account and show you exactly how to set that up and find the winning audiences for your brand. So you're going to want to set up a separate campaign for audience testing, and this will typically work the best if you already have a creative that's working. You hit that, you want to hit sales, and then want to go down to continue. Hit manual sales campaign. And then what you're going to want to do is call this audience testing. And then you want to leave this off. So leave this off right here, because we're going to use the budget on the ad set level rather than the campaign level. So once you've set that up here, you want to go into here, right here on the ad set level. And let's say you are running sort of like a general streetwear brand. A good persona would be someone that's interested in Supreme. So your target audience will probably lie within that. I know Supreme's dead, but your target audience Facebook will still collect that as the target audience. So if you go to here and just name this Supreme, and then in terms of conversion event, you always want to leave this on purchase for every campaign you run, as long as you're optimizing for purchases and you want more sales on your website. Always want to leave that on purchase. And now typically in terms of budget, I leave this very low. So you don't know whether it's going to work or not. So I typically start this at $5 a day. I wouldn't say anything less than that. But the reason why we start low, because we have multiple different ad sets, and the budget will rack up. It will just be spread across multiple different ad sets. So target the locations that you ship to. So it could be Europe, could be United States, could be them all together. That's totally down to where you ship to and where you want to target, basically. So this is where the real targeting happens. So detailed targeting. So what you want to do is go in here and hit Supreme. Simple as that. Supreme clothing. Now you only want to test one audience in one ad set. You don't want to have multiple audiences in ad sets, because you don't know which audience is working. So you want to split them out. So you leave everything the same, leave it like this, and this is your audience targeting done for this ad set. Now, the next thing you want to do is then hit Control D or hit duplicate in the top left over here. Now, what Facebook is going to do for you is give you suggestions right here. So it suggested that the closest thing to that is maybe Stussy. So what you want to do is then take rid of that one, and you want to go and copy this, head up to the top, and just paste this in here. Keep everything else the same. So now you're targeting Stussy as well as Supreme. And then what you want to do is hit Control D again. It's going to give you some more suggestions, and maybe you want to target a bathing ape now. So all you're doing is rinse and repeating, just changing out the audience, and then put that up here. Now, maybe you want to then try a high-end brand. So maybe you want to try Louis Vuitton or Gucci. Typically, like Louis Vuitton, Gucci, high-end brands will be more expensive in terms of traffic, but the persona or the audience will have a high spending power, which is very key to getting a high return on ad spend, and also will get you basically a higher average order value, because the people that shop at Gucci and stuff like that don't mind dropping, £200, £300 with just a t-shirt alone. So you'd go down to here and then you type in Gucci. And then if you hit Control D again, so you can kind of see what I'm doing. Now what Facebook will do is give you a whole different selection of brands to target. So now it will come up with purely high-end brands on the suggestions. So you can see here, if I hit suggestions, it then comes up with all of these. So you've got Louis Vuitton, Prada, Versace, Chanel, Hermes, Balenciaga, which is a completely different audience to stuff like, Supreme. So maybe you want to target Louis Vuitton. Let's try that out. Pop that in there. So now you've got 5 different ad sets, all targeting different audiences. Now, these may not all work, only some of them work, but what you do is just keep the winners, and then one that works, you hit duplicate again, and then have the suggestions of that closest to it, because chances are that audience closest to it will probably work as well. So you'll go ahead and hit publish, leave it a couple of days, and then see exactly what's worked, and cut the losers and, scale the winners. So this is also a couple of audiences that I've tested out personally. So you can see I've split it into different categories. You've got general, you've got brand, you've got magazines, you've got rappers. So what I just showed you was basically all brands you can see here. But what you can do is like target general stuff. And these are much broader audiences, stuff like outerwear, streetwear, street fashion, vintage clothing, outfit of the day, men's clothing. You know, if you're selling hoodies, try out hoodies. Like, it's that simple. Sometimes that works really well. And then you got brands. Obviously, I basically just gave the lesson on that. But you got Hypebeast, Supreme, Balenciaga, Bathing Ape, Zara, Urban Outfitters, Acne Studios. And then magazines. Magazines are normally a very good high intent audience because people that are typically interested in magazines or reading stuff like GQ, XXL are going to be people that are typically very much into fashion. And then lastly and not least, rappers. So people that are into Kanye West, we already know, will be very interested in fashion. So you can see how these could all work, and I'd recommend trying out and just testing and experimenting different audiences. So that closes the segment of audience testing, and I hope you got some value out of it.